One of the most inspiring women I know is with us now. She's a dear friend of mine. It's Fran Capo. She's got accolades that just like run forever. In fact, she's got a bookmark with all of them on it. Okay, so just in case I forget anything, but she's a world record holder. She's an author. She's a motivational speaker. She's a mom. She's an adventurous. She does a ton of things. She's a film actress and she's an author many times over. She's just so cool, ladies and gentlemen. Fran Capo. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm sure I missed a couple of things.
Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Yeah, we can just talk about it
they can
another
go to your
time.
website to find it. Okay,
Yeah.
but today in particular, because there's so many things we could talk about, we wanted to focus on Hopeville. What is Hopeville?
Hopeful the City of Light is, well, I've written 18 books.
Yes.
This particular book is the only book that was really hard for me to explain because the other books I consciously said, I'm going to write this book. This book came to me. It's actually like two stories in one. The story of how it came about and the actual story. So there I am, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleeping. What are you doing, 4 o'clock? Well, whatever. But whatever. I'm there sleeping. And I hear a voice go, get up. You got to write a book.
Get up.
And I'm like, well, this is the weirdest dream. So then I turn on the light. I'm like, okay, that was really weird. Turn off the light. I hear the voice again say, get up. You have to write this book. It has a message you have to give to the world. Turn on the light. I look around. I don't see anybody. I go, all right, look. I don't know who you are, but it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not writing a book. And they're like, no, you have to write this down. I mean, it's like literally like you and I are talking.
Right.
So they say, get a pen. So I'm following instructions. I write, all right, Hopeville, the City of Light. I write it down. I said, whatever. I don't even know what you're talking about. I do it. Next morning, I get up. I take my kid to school, my mom to work. I have to get the car fixed. I'm sitting behind in a, the car place, and I have my computer. I was working on another book at that time, Adrenaline Ventures. I've never had writer's block. So I literally go to type the book, and Donna, my hands cannot move. It was the weirdest thing. So I'm like, well, great. What am I going to sit for 3 hours and not do anything? So I said, what am I going to do? So I said, what was the name of that book I heard? I take it out because I had scribbled it on paper, take it out of my pocket, and I write, Hopeville, the City of Light. For the next 3 hours, I can tell you, I do not know one word of what I wrote. I literally wrote the words at the end, and the guy goes, your card's ready. He goes, but I have to tell you, that was the strangest thing. I said, what? He goes, you didn't move, you didn't look like you breathed, you didn't blink, you didn't drink water. I said, I think I wrote a book. He's like, how do you not know? I said, I honestly don't know. So because I was doing other things, I didn't look at it. And then you know how I get with my weird thoughts. So I started going like, well, what if God gave me this book, or if somebody gave me this book and then all of a sudden I die and go to heaven? And he's like, hey, I gave you a book. You didn't do anything. Now you got to sweep heaven for the rest of your life. So I was like, I better do something with this book. So I read it and I see it's about a little boy who's getting bullied, a widowed mother who's got 3 jobs and she's trying to hold them down, a successful businessman who gave up the opportunity for love and a family to build a business, and an old man who feels like, life, like he's got things still to give, but everybody's like, he's old. What does he know? So on the same night, they all pray, and an angel of light comes to them and tells them, if you just do a little something different, you can not only change your life, but it'll have a domino effect and change the town. And she offers them a physical candle that is on their bodies that can only project your true inner feelings. So if you're a good person, it projects, white light, and if not, red. And people, of course, that are trying to manipulate the light, it goes through all the obstacles that the town has to face, and it reveals the 44 lessons. And I didn't even know so many magical things with the book.
It's such a deep thing, right?
Yeah.
You write this book, and then all of a sudden, after it gets out there, people that have a little piece of information about different things have started to like build a tapestry with you, if you will,
Yes.
of the meaning behind this.
Right, because like, for example, someone said, oh, do you know that the the 2 L's on Hopeville look like the number 11? I was like, oh, no, I never realized that. And then I find out the number 11 has to do with inner wisdom. Then someone said, well, why are there 44 principles? I'm like, I don't know. That was what was in the book. And so then they said, well, do you know that there's angel 44? I go, what do you mean angel 44? There's an angel 33. What, did God run out of names? And now all of a sudden he's got to name them by numbers? And so I looked up 44 is spiritual guidance. So people are giving me messages. It started as a paper book that I stapled that you actually bought copies from in the very beginning, sold 50 copies a day, did nothing with it. Then I waited, 2014, I said I should make it into an ebook. Made it into an ebook on that very day. It hit number 11 on Amazon. Then again, I leave it, and someone calls me up, an old lady who lost her husband, and said, your ebook was the only thing that made me feel comfort. Can you make it into a softcover book? And I was like, I'm leaving for Korea tomorrow. I'm going to see the military. And then I was like, all right, this lady's asking. So I make it into a softcover book. But when I did go to Korea, because I felt all the men and women were, donating their lives, and so I offered any military person, and that offer still stands. If you go to hopevillecityoflight.com, there is a button for the military that they can get the ebook for free. Now, then people said, make it into a CD. I just basically was following what people told me that they needed. We need to hear the voice.
Right.
It's fine. I'll do it as a CD. Then someone said, do a candle with the prayer in the back. I'm like, you need a candle. We light the candle. There's a candle in the book. It all comes together.
And these look pretty and they smell good too.
Yeah, and in the back it has a
Yes.
prayer for you to be guided to do your best possible thing in the universe. And so the thing is, just recently, someone had, Donna, I'm not good with technology. Someone had emailed me 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I just find the email. I'm like, wow, this person's gonna think I'm really rude. I never answered him.
3 years later.
Yeah, so 3 years later, I email him. I'm like, hey, I don't want you to think like I never answered you, blah, blah. What are you doing now? He runs this company called JTC, which is Join the Conversation Exchange. His whole thing is getting messages to kids in schools at a young age to let them know nothing is impossible. You can have hope. You create your destiny, not somebody else. It doesn't matter what your external things are. It falls in line with Hopeville. So now what we're doing is we joined a partnership for this to get books to kids in schools to let them know nothing is impossible. So if you go to hopevillecityoflight.com, there's a donate button. We're trying right now just to raise $5,000. We've already had our first sponsorship, so we've shipped out our first things to school, and we're also doing it for prisons. We're trying to get the message out because, quite honestly, I don't want to die and get punished, up there.
Right. If you're given a book, after all, like you said, you've written 18 of them so far, right? And there's always going to be more books, but this one is particularly different and special. And so that's what you're doing with this one.
Exactly, because you know what? I feel in a way, people have said this to me, that it was channeled. I'm like, whatever. All I know is somebody gave me this book. I was asked to get the message out. I'm going to do what I was told.
And the voice of it is different. Do
Yes.
you understand? If you've read your other
Any of
books,
my books,
when
right.
you read this book, which is by Fran Capo, the phraseology, the word choice, it's very different.
It's very different.
But it's
except
very
for
cool.
The forward of the book is
Yes,
me explaining
yes,
the story
right.
in Fran Capo speak. And, you got to get, and then, but the book then becomes like a whole different, who's writing this?
Yeah, it's cool though. It's really
Yeah.
cool. And
Thank you.
congratulations on all your wonderful continued success.
Thank you.
I love the journey. I mean, you climbed Kilimanjaro, you went to the side of the Titanic. For people to really just have a glimpse of you, they really do have to go to your website. And I usually don't push a website, but there's so much about you.
Thank
so
you.
if you want to meet my friend Fran Capo, please go to her website, check her out, celebrate Hopeville City of Light, get your copy, and stay tuned for more on Live It Up. Fran Capo! Woo!
Thank you.